Hey, Dwight.
Hey, Michael.
I heard you've been watching One Piece. Do you recommend it to me?
If I were to say anything bad, and I will have to do that as this review is not a positive one, about this anime that would not offend the hardcore fans, and I know there are a lot, is that it's painfully slow. Even if you leave the fillers aside, still, the plot itself progresses in such a slow pace that it's rather hard to watch. Now, for a younger audience, it may not matter that much. But to me as a higher age audience, it matters greatly after all. Out of the 23 tilde minutes of each episode, 3 are spent on opening and ending, which is usual, I guess. But in most episodes, roughly 5 or more minutes are spent on a recap of the current story arc, as if the creators of the show forgot it's a shonen anime and instead got the idea that the audience are elderly people with Alzheimer. But okay, this means there is still 15 minutes left per episode, right? Well, not really. In most episodes, the heroes get separated. When they do, the anime tries to keep track of all of them simultaneously, cutting every few minutes. This wouldn't be so bad if after the cut, the same exact scene did not repeat itself. Example, a few seconds that show one of the main heroes standing and looking at a place/villain that is shown from a few angles. Then the anime continues elsewhere, and when it comes back to the same place, the same exact scene is shown. That may not sound as much, but in drastic cases that can sum up to a few minutes. The worst case I bothered to count was almost 4 minutes of time wasted on watching the same scene. Combined with a lot of other tricks, I'd say that a lot of episodes are left with about 11 minutes of actual content on average. That is simply dreadful. Now, to say some positive things for contrast, the story is actually very interesting and the characters are well done. But no matter how good something is, if you drag it out too much, and this is indeed the case with One Piece, even the best story in the world and the best characters possible, not to say One Piece has neither of those. The story is great, and the characters are good, but not more, will not keep you entertained, and turn even the best story possible into a boring experience. Now back to the negatives. No one dies in this anime. This is of course an exaggeration, as some people actually do die in this anime, but only when it's critical to the plot. At all the other times, the characters die just to add drama and to come back a few scenes later, sometimes to die again and add even more drama. I'm saying that sarcastically because at this point it's more awkward, silly after one time rather than dramatic. The worst case of this I saw was with Brownbeard, who died something like 5 times over 3 episodes, if I remember right, and still stayed alive in the end while the show tried to suck as much drama out of this as possible. And this brings me to the next point. Fake drama. They seem to try and squeeze out as much of it as possible at every opportunity they get. From crying children and adults, to characters repeatedly dying, and to the most cliché tearjerkers possible at every turn of the story. They even go as far as to try and make the villain's henchmen, and even the villain himself, have a tragic past that you are supposed to relate to and feel sorry for, because seems a villain can't just be evil because that is just the way he is. He had to become evil because something bad happened. LOL. How about sheer ignorance or plain greed for wealth or power? And we apparently must know, for both villains and side characters that we'll never even see again. Also, I mentioned crying. There is an unbelievable amount of it in this anime, and that would be okay, I guess, if A, they did not try to milk it for drama every single time. Drama, yep, that's a word that sure gets a lot of use when discussing this anime, huh? B, they didn't think that when someone cries, he instantly turns ugly, with snot running down his nose and with the worst face expression possible, regardless of gender, age, or how emotional he is. I'd say a lot more, but there is already a lot already said, and it's enough to sum it up. This anime is not one I would recommend someone to watch under any normal circumstances. Maybe only if someone made a shortened version with all the repeats, openings, endings, and cuts removed, thus making the whole anime be at around 300 episodes max. I watched over 600 episodes myself, and I can safely say that although some parts were enjoyable, it was mostly rather boring when looked as a whole, and especially the later episodes, and I am regretting the time I spent watching it. As to why I watched it so far, my friend recommended it to me, and I did not expect it to last this long. I usually finish what I start, but this is ridiculous, bad, and really beyond me at this point.
Geez, I won't watch it then. I heard Steins Gate is good. What's your opinion?
First of all, you have to understand that Steins Gate is completely unique compared to other anime, in terms of storyline. Now, with such a complex plot, it would be incredibly easy to mess the series up, except that they didn't. If they did, it wouldn't be a masterpiece. Steins Gate explores the world of time traveling and timelines, putting in acknowledgments to theories such as the butterfly effect, and how once you change a minor thing of the past, the future transitions into one large scrambled egg. Once you pass the first slow starting episodes, the intrigue and mystery begins, and the pace of the series accelerates. The plot throws in numerous surprises and sudden, unexpected turns that, in turn, creates a powerful ending that is almost flawless. Also, you're hit bluntly in the face with quite a lot of feels early on in the series. One of the great things about Steins Gate is that the characters are developed incredibly well, astonishingly well, to the point that you feel connected with them in terms of their feelings and aims. They each have their quirky side, too. Not everything is all serious. I'm talking about the mad scientist personality, the Dr. Pepper jokes, and Daru's perverted jokes, which lightens up the series so that it isn't all serious drama. But the trouble is, the more like Abel the characters are, the harder you find it to leave them behind when the series ends, meaning that even a week after Steins Gate ends, you'll probably still be thinking about Okabe whenever you spot a bottle of Dr. Pepper. I didn't really pay attention much to the soundtrack of the series, I admit, due to the fact that I didn't find it all that enthralling or unique. However, I did enjoy the opening and the ending particularly. Aside from that, the soundtrack did its job of emphasizing the mood, atmosphere of scenes pretty well. The animation in itself was done really well, though. I found that the consistency was great, meaning that, to my eye, there was no sudden drops in quality. Something that I loved the most was that the ending was fantastic. There were barely any loose threads, and as a poor ending can sometimes ruin a good series, I'm grateful that they executed such a content finale. I stress that you must watch this series. It's not enough for you to read however many reviews you can lay your eyes on, but to actually experience this masterpiece for yourself.
Thanks, Dwight. You've been helpful once again.
Have a good day, Michael.